Hello, I'm Bren,
And I'm Jem.
and this is the Trunk2Tale Podcast. And today we've got not one but two guests. We're truly spoiled. We've got Roy Heaney and Rich Coates. And Jem, you've got a little bit to say about both of the guys before we ask any questions.
Well, yeah, Roy and I were just chatting at the beginning about how it came that we met, and it's so we've done this recent episode about Lenny Woodard, and I imagine somehow Roy must have seen that, but it appears not. But Instagram. So I was reaching out to folk on Instagram, and then up pops Roy, and I thought, oh, that's fantastic. So we have a little bit of an exchange, and he says to me, I've got to introduce you to these people at marshalling CTE, and they'll be really interested in what you're doing. So then Roy passed me on to Rich and Jen. And now Rich and Jen and we're having quite a lot of contact in trying to do things related to the app, which this isn't what we're going to be talking about now. But it's just, I was saying I'm not a big believer in fate, but sometimes you just think, do you know what? There's something there, maybe. But anyway, what we'd like to cover is Rich and Roy are both sports people, and so we want to find out about their careers, what they did, and then what we want to find out is when they started to find out about that they were finding that their thought processes weren't quite working as well as they might. And what that was like, and then interactions with healthcare one way or the other to see what was happening in there. And then finally, they'll talk to us about this fantastic venture that they're both embarked on, marshalling CTE. So CTE is chronic traumatic encephalopathy. So that's what we're talking about, sort of brain trauma related to impact. I think that's how
correct.
we categorize it. So, look, guys, I'm so pleased that you've turned up, and it's lovely to meet you, Roy, in the semi-flesh, so to speak, and Rich, nice to see you again. But I wonder we'll start with Roy, just to tell us a little bit about your career, and then we'll ask Rich about the same thing.
Yeah, where to start? Probably from a very young age, from the age of 11, I knew I had a talent for football. I'd been spotted playing for my school team, and Liverpool Schools Football Association came in and they asked me to go for a trial, and there was about 500 went, and lucky enough to me, I was one of the 22 that was taken on to play for Liverpool Schoolboys. And that's from the age of 11, and I played every game right through. That carried on up till under 14s and under 15s, which is the senior group. The senior team then, we play all over the country, and we play for the FA Schools Trophy, which is basically you're told about from the age of 11 and you work your way up to hopefully still be with them at 15 to play for the trophy. And obviously Liverpool, being such a big city, has won it a few times, but we hadn't won it for a while. And anyway, we that year as a 15-year-old, we actually won the trophy, and that obviously got clubs interested in looking at us. And in particular, there was West Bromwich Albion came in, Bristol City, Liverpool, and across the park, Everton. But between the two clubs, I was only ever going to pick one. Obviously, the other two, decent football sides. But once Liverpool come in, and there's only one team you're going to sign for. So I decided to join Liverpool at the age of 15, and I think they had pretty high hopes for me. They asked me to train with the first team through school holidays, which to me it was just a dream. I remember turning up at Anfield, and we get the coach to Melwood, and I'm playing alongside the likes of Keegan and Toshak and Steve Highway and Callaghan and Tommy Smith, and it was a dream. It was happening to me, but it was hard to take in. But great times, and as I say, they had high hopes. They had me training with the first team and the reserves at 15. But fortunately for me, my first game for the youth team was against Tranmere Rovers, and I was tackled from behind and got a really bad leg break. I think Liverpool thought my career was over. I initially thought it was quite a bad break on the growth plate, and I was out for a year, trained. They looked after me. I was able to get fit at Anfield. I used all the facilities. But when I asked my apprenticeship a year later, and I'd not played football for a year, they said, "No, we're sorry, son. You're just not going to be able to tackle the way you did, and you're going to lose your pace. We just can't offer you it. We can't take that chance." So my world was turned upside down as a 16-year-old. Then that's all obviously I'd ever wanted to do. I thought, oh my God, what am I going to do from here? And I got myself fit, just started playing amateur football, and then Bolton Wanderers had been watching me for a while, and they came in and said, "Come down for a trial. We like what we see, and we'll take it from there." So went to Bolton, had a trial, played against Manchester City in a trial game, and they basically said, "Look, we want to sign you on apprentice forms first, and then if that works out, we may offer you professional terms the year after." So served my apprenticeship for a year, and then the rest, as they say, is history. Stayed at Bolton as a professional for 5 years, played 12 first team games in that time. You've got to remember then there was only we had 12 players in the squad, so we had one substitute. So I've got 12 games in the first team, and I think I don't know. I was falling out of love a little bit with the game, and I put myself on the transfer list because I just wasn't getting the games that I wanted. I was 21 by this stage, and I think Halifax Town had come in for me. Barnsley had come in.
You've disappeared the sound. Roy, that just disappeared on me. Did it?
Right, is that back?
Yeah, that's back.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Sorry. The Barnes who were interested, Halifax. I just didn't fancy moving down the leagues, to be honest. At Bolton we were in the Division 1, which is the Premier League now. And one of the directors at the club also was a director at Wigan Warriors, and he actually said to me, "Look, Wigan Warriors are really interested in you changing codes. We think you'd be really good because of your pace and your strength. They're really interested." So had a trial for Wigan. They liked what they saw, and they made me a great offer. And basically said, "Look, you go straight into the first team," which I did, and played every game towards the end of the season. At the last 15 games, had a great time, scored a few tries. I'd never played rugby in my life, ever. So it was a really big
Must have been a shock
for me. I believe me, I had death threats and everything. I was getting death threats because from players in rugby league, what they were going to do to me if they caught me, and but they weren't quick enough. They never caught me. So I scored a few tries, and my career was going on an upward trajectory, and I thought, great, this is what I've always wanted. And the year after, Wigan changed their manager, and he didn't think I had enough experience, even though I'd done so well the year before, and ended up back in the second team. I was in and out the team, and then Salford had come in, Salford Reds, and they made a record fee at that time. It was £60,000, wow. Which in those days in the 80s was a lot of money, and I went to Salford, did quite well there, and unfortunately, again, as luck would have it, I'd had a high tackle, got a bad pass, picked it up on the floor, and tried to crash into the corner. It was a high tackle to the head, knocked unconscious. I just remember waking up, and as you do in rugby league, smelling salts, wet sponge, and carry on. So I carried on. But as soon as I put my hands on someone, I felt my knee, and it just almost felt like it had come off the joint completely. And it had, unknown to me, that's exactly what had happened. I completely torn my anterior cruciate ligament. So in those days, an ACL was game over, or so I thought. So I had surgery. Salford, I have to say, even though rugby league was professional in those days, it wasn't run that way, and I had no support from the club. Got myself a surgeon who did an operation, a rebuild on the knee. Wasn't great, wasn't that successful, but allowed me to play part-time football again. And then I had an offer from a club in New Zealand to go and play back in football, but become a player manager. So I went to New Zealand at 25, and I was a player manager over there for 2 years. And then come home and got on my UEFA coaching license. Carried on playing part-time football at Workington, which I enjoyed. But it was apparent there was things happening, both physically and neurologically, even at that stage. So that's a sort of a condensed version of my career.
Well, thanks very much. I mean, fascinating. We could spend a whole thing as we start asking you, well, what was it like playing with Ian Callaghan or whatever? But anyway, Rich, over to you. What's your sporting history been?
So I started playing rugby for a local village club called Painswick when I was about 7 years old. 6, 7 years old. Contact rugby, tackling, everything that you could think of involving contact. I progressed through with Painswick. I played for school, played county, played first team rugby at the age of 15. So if you can imagine a 15-year-old standing next to a 6'6", 19-stone gentleman. It was interesting at times, but I loved it. I loved the physical side of it. I got trials, as I said, county. I was playing county in Southwest before I got a district trial, which I couldn't figure that one out ever. And progressed through like that till I was about 17, 18. And then I had a very serious knee injury playing for Painswick third team on a pitch that was you wouldn't want to play on today. It was unbelievable, just boggy, getting stuck down, and I ended up snapping the ACL, the cruciate, and the MCL, and the meniscus in my right knee. Wow. So that kind of put pay to everything that I was working for. Like Roy said, I went to see a consultant and everything, had the surgery. They said it'd be stronger than ever. It was going to be better. Build it all your training back up slowly, build the muscles up around it, and you'll never have a problem. Within, I think it was about 12, maybe 18 months, I'd done it again. Everything went. And in total, I've had 5 operations on that one knee just to keep it going. A lot down to sport as well. But the amount of head hits that I took, touch wood, I've never been knocked out that I know of. And I mean, there's been some very big headshots, high tackles. As you can imagine, as a 15, 16-year-old playing first team rugby, they want to take you out because to them, you're the easy target. So I had to get used to that very quickly.
What position did you
nothing
play?
as elaborate as Roy. Sorry, buddy?
Yeah. So, what position did you play?
I was a fly half or a fullback. So whichever way you looked at it, I was in the channel to be ran at.
Yeah, proper target.
Targeted, yeah.
Yeah, very much so.
And how old, if I can ask, how old were you, Rich, when you stopped playing rugby?
I think it was about 5, maybe 6 years ago. So I would have been 35-ish.
Okay, all right. So you played a long time.
Oh yeah, I mean, obviously on and off without injuries. Yeah, all I'd done was play. I trained through the summer. Right. I played 17 rugby. Any team that was short, if I didn't have a game, I was happy to go and play. I mean, me and Jen have sat down and worked out that I think it was 1 or 2 seasons that I played, I was playing 4 or 5 games a week. Whether that was school, county, my age, adult, or for somebody else that was short. Because all I wanted to do was just play.
Yeah.
And that was my life.
Yes.
With the training side of things, and I'd be interested in the rugby league as well, Roy. But when Chris Simpson-Daniel was talking to us, he was talking about in the training, the amount of hits you were getting as well. So it's not just a matter of you turning up and playing a game. And in fact, the training could be really brutal because it's just relentlessly, like this. And I just wonder if that was your experience of the training as well, that it wasn't just the games, it was everything else around it.
Most definitely. I think even if you go back to football, I mean, you think football is not as brutal. But in the 80s, 70s and 80s when I played, it was a different game to what it is now. And I remember at Bolton, I was to make my debut against Everton at Goodison Park for the first team. So I was obviously delighted, looking forward to it. And the Thursday we had a match, first team versus the reserves, and full-on contact, as Rich says. And there was a trialist playing from Ireland for the reserves, and I'm in the first team. And I've gone up for a header, and then just got a stray elbow, which broke my nose and my eye socket out like a light. Come to finish the training session, I was sore. Didn't realise the damage that I'd done, and obviously went and found out that it's a broken nose and a broken eye socket. And that's training, and that was football as well. Everything was full on in both sports, whether that be football, rugby league, rugby union, because they expected you then to train as you played. That was the way we did things. And the same in rugby league. You'd obviously go through some of the training moves which didn't involve full contact, but you would have 7 against 7, 8 against 8, and small sided games and everything. There was nothing that you could do anything. Basically, it was full tackling, full full contact, and because that's how we played, and they believed that if you didn't train that way, then you couldn't play that way. So very much the same as Rich.
Very, very similar with rugby union at amateur level. If you weren't training 100%, you weren't picked. So you're flying into all these tackles. You see people getting concussed, even at young ages. Get a bit of water on.
I think that's the key for me, though, Rich.
Make sure you're fit for Saturday, sort of thing.
Rich and I have talked about this numerous occasions, haven't we? Is I think a lot of the damage that was done to us, obviously it mounted up over the years. But as Rich says, as a 7-year-old, wow, I mean that is unbelievable. 7 years of age, your brain as a 7-year-old, in my case from probably 11, your brain is only just developing. Just developing, doesn't stop developing till you're 21. So the damage that was being done to us as children, because that's what we were, children, was probably catastrophic when you look at it. That was the start of where we are now.
So
Yeah,
how old were you then, Rich? You stopped at 35, and I ask you, how old were you, Rich, when you first began to notice something, whatever that thing was, wasn't quite right?
All honesty, I'd probably say early 20s.
Wow.
Just
Really?
subtle
When
things
you're
with
still playing?
personality changes. Yeah, personality changes. I was drinking a lot. I mean, I've always been around it with the rugby club and at an amateur level, but I was taking that to excess. And then trialed different drugs because everyone else was doing it. I always said I'd never do. So I'd say early 20s. 15, 16 years ago, I had a big injury which put me in a wheelchair for 2 years. And I was diagnosed with FND, which is functional neurological disorder. And at that point, everything became 100 times enhanced. All the symptoms, the headaches, the not feeling great, and mental health issues, suicide attempts. So I'd say in my early 20s, but really prominent the last 16 years.
And was the drugs, as they call it, self-medication? Or, I mean, you felt you were using the drinking and the drugs to take the edge off whatever it was you were feeling, or you were just being one of the lads? I mean, there's two ways of being a heavy drinker, at least two ways of being a...
I was definitely using drink and some recreational drugs just to quieten the voices in my head.
Yeah.
And just to, I suppose, in a way to fit in, because I was always quite in with everybody. And then as personality started to change, I felt myself away from everyone. I felt alone. So even though I've got some really good friends and still have, but you start to feel a bit isolated with the changes that are going on and not knowing what it is.
And is that something you recognise, Roy? The same,
same
sort of thing?
Well, we, Rich and I have so much in common in regard to symptoms. I think for me, I noticed almost Parkinsonian type issues from my, I'd say, late 20s, where I would lose control of function, of leg movement, arm movement, migraines, mood swings, rage, unable to control, which is not me. I'm not aggressive in sport. Yes, most definitely aggressive when I play football, but outside of football and rugby, I'm not an aggressive person. But I was becoming that way. I just wasn't able to control my emotions, my feelings. I certainly drunk much more than I should have, probably from 28, 29 onwards for a few years. And I guess the same as Rich, it was to block out the noise. It was just to block out that noise of feeling alone, feeling isolated. The voices, as Rich says, auditory and visual hallucinations I've had for some time. But into my 30s, there was a progression. Once I hit 40 onwards, that's when it became apparent that there was something going on with my brain. Went to see the GP, and it was a long time before I got any help, and they referred me to see a psychiatrist in 2018. Had a normal MRI which picked up some white matter tracks that weren't right, and they looked at my history, and the psychiatrist in 2018 actually said, "I believe this man has chronic traumatic encephalopathy," but no one ever followed it up. It was never followed up. Nobody followed it up. They just put me on antidepressants, anxiety medication, I seen a psychologist for 2 years, which the PFA paid for, and he said I had post-traumatic stress disorder. So, nobody ever really pinpointed what was going on. They could see all the symptoms, same as Rich, but there was nobody really stepping up to help either one of us.
Yeah, so you've had the same experience, Rich?
Yeah, very much so, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, literally, me and Roy chuckle about it because we'll start telling a story about how things have been going, and the other one can finish it off because it's just so similar to everybody that is struggling. And it's just unbelievable that we have all these misdiagnoses. I know they need to dismiss things beforehand, but when you're going in telling them, especially nowadays, you're going in telling them these symptoms and how you're feeling, and you're suicidal daily, and the headaches won't stop, your eyes are twitching, and all these different things that are all neurological, and they turn to you. I'm not putting everybody down, but they turn to you and say antidepressants because you're depressed.
Yeah.
And it's a horrible feeling going in, especially if you're going with a partner or something, and you feel that there's something wrong upstairs, and they're saying it's depression. Then your partner believes it's depression over the potential brain injuries that you have.
Yeah.
And did Rich, did then at some point did a psychiatrist or a neurologist actually sort of get to grips, if you like, with your symptoms better? Were the words CTE used to you, or?
No, I didn't get a CTE diagnosis until I saw something on Facebook that I thought was to help other people coming through the game with concussions and putting new protocols in. And it actually turned out to be the lawsuit, which obviously we can't talk about. But from that come my diagnosis of testing, scans, cognitive tests, and I ended up with a 300-page document giving me my diagnosis of early onset dementia and probable stage 2 CTE.
Right. So what's become clear to me is just how little the rest of us understand anything about this, and it's because Jen's been giving me a few facts like this 80% suicide rate and things like that, and you just wonder how the hell has this got past the rest of us. There's so many trivial things that we seem to know about. How do we not know about this? But we've only got a relatively small amount of time left. Though we can always come back and talk again. But how did you two meet? So that's one little wrinkle I don't know about. And then, how did you decide to set up marshalling CTE? So how did that come about?
Go on, Rich.
He's frozen. Go on. He's frozen a bit.
Yeah. Well, I met. We were both looking for some support and some help because we both obviously in the litigation, and we both got our diagnosis, which was exactly the same. But we're very, very grateful for that. This is not a criticism. Absolutely so grateful for the help that we've got from Rylands and Garth to get the diagnosis and the help. But we had this diagnosis, both of us, but no support, no help. So it was sort of, where do we go? What do we do? Who's going to pick up the ball from here? So as you do, you try and educate yourself, and then you look for support groups. There was nothing at all in the UK, absolutely nothing. So we both went and looked in the USA, and plenty more knowledge over there in regard to the lawsuit they had with the American footballers in the early 2000s. So they're very clued up on CTE, and they have lots of support groups. So that's where we met, and we spoke for a while, and we phoned one another up, and as I say, we found we had so much in common, and we said, wouldn't it be great if we could maybe start something up ourselves in the UK, because there's nothing out there. People need this. They need help, not just for ourselves, but we knew, obviously, there was hundreds, maybe thousands of people out there suffering from chronic traumatic encephalopathy and having to go to the USA for support. Yeah. So that's what we did. And Jen, obviously, Rich's wife, who, let's be honest, Rich, she's the one who's basically, she's done all the work, and she's worked so hard. And she has. Oh, she is, yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. She's such a great organizer and communication, absolutely brilliant, Jen, and she has just took it on her shoulders, and it's absolutely, it's grown so quickly, and we've obviously involved others now. We have a couple of directors who've also done a great job, and Richie and I, obviously, as the people who had the idea, we're very much still involved, but sort of in the background, just talking to people as ambassadors, really, aren't we, Richie? I would say, both of us, and
yeah.
Although obviously we don't have to say in any decisions that are made. Yeah. What about you, Rich? What do you think?
Like Roy said, we met up, and I think without me talking to Roy and a couple of the other lads that we have, you wouldn't know where to turn. I mean, like Roy said, we talk once, twice a week, and then messages. Yeah. And Roy, for me, has been a guiding light, because he keeps me going, and I think I keep him going.
Vice versa.
You get some really horrible days.
Yeah, we both do.
But yeah,
and we pull each other through. We pull each other through. We do.
Yeah, I mean, I can't sing Jen's praises high enough. I know she's my wife, and I should anyway, but she's fantastic, pulling everything together, getting the interviews sorted, podcasts, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And marshalling CTE wouldn't be where it is without Jen and Roy.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. Definitely not.
Well, from my point of view, all I can say is it's been inspirational to me, at least, interacting with you guys, because as I was intimating before, if it wasn't for people like you, I'd just think, well, why would I get involved if you haven't got such strong voices as your voices? And as you say, Jen's like some angel, isn't she? That's you wonder where these people turn up from. But it's amazing.
You want her in your corner. You wouldn't want to be fighting against her. I'll put it that way.
Right.
Do you know what? I haven't met her in person yet, but I do get that sense.
Yeah, she's tough. She's tough cookie.
I bet she's tough. Yeah, I don't doubt it. Yeah, I don't doubt it. Yeah, tough angel, the best sort. Yeah.
No comment.
Rich not saying anything, I noticed. So no comment. But anyway, look, we'll wrap it up there. But it's been such an honour talking to you both. It's just fantastic, and we'd like to pick up with you again at some time in the future. I know I'll be working with you anyway, so that's just been fantastic. And
thank you guys.
Anything you want to say?
Yeah, it's been eye-opening.
Thank you, guys.
To be honest, Roy, I didn't know it was possible to go from playing football to rugby league like that.
I know.
Those were the days, mate. Those were the days. Yeah?
They were. Yeah.
And
he is a magical man.
Thank you.
I don't think too many this day and age would be doing it.
But thank you so much, Rich. For that's quite a story.
Yeah, thank you guys. It's been a pleasure to be on with the podcast with you. Thank you.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. And keep doing what you do. It's been fantastic. Thank you.
Okay, so bye everybody. Bye, Rich.
Bye.
Bye.
So if you can.
Bye everyone.